Good morning. I'm Berks County Commissioner Christian Leinbach, and I want to welcome you to the Commissioners meeting for February the 15th. We're broadcasting live via Microsoft Teams live event. We're also on BCTV as well as Facebook and YouTube Live. We'll begin with a moment of silence followed by a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'll recognize Lynn Burns, Executive Assistant for Commissioner Santoni, to read the public comment policy.
Thank you, Commissioner Leinbach. Public comment will be accepted in person and through the Q&A function. Please include your first name, last name, and municipality for all comments. Any comment without name and municipality will not be considered. Each citizen can submit one comment. Comment length is dictated by limitations of the platform being used, Teams Q&A, Facebook, or YouTube. In-person comments will be accepted first, followed by comments submitted virtually. The meeting comment period is limited to a total of 30 minutes, including both in-person and virtual comments. This time period may be extended at the discretion of the board. Please be concise. Comments that are germane to county business will be read during the meeting and should not be considered to be interactive dialogue with the commissioners. The county solicitor shall be the final arbiter of whether a comment is germane and should be read. Any commissioner response to public comment will be done at the discretion of the commissioners.
Thank you very much, Lynn. Are there any additions or corrections for the February 8th meeting minutes? Hearing none, the minutes will stand approved as presented. We did have an executive session on Friday, on Friday, February the 9th, dealing with litigation. There's no public comment on agenda items in person. There's none online. We'll go to general public comment at the end of the meeting. Moving forward with the agenda, item 1, authorizing under that budget department, adopt a resolution authorizing 2023 budget transfers in the amount of $69,260 and 2023 appropriations in the amount of $375 per listing dated February the 9th of 2024. One item listed under Human Resources authorized the promotion of Travis Johnson from Assistant Chief Juvenile Probation Officer to Deputy Chief Juvenile Probation Officer in Juvenile Probation. One item listed under myself, adopt a resolution authorizing the appointment of Catherine Delcamp, Fleetwood, Pennsylvania, to the Berks County Area Agency on Aging Advisory Council for a 2-year term expiring on December 31st of 2025. One item listed under Commissioner Santoni, adopt a resolution authorizing the appointment of Lieutenant Colonel retired Edwin Jankowski, Reading, PA, to the Berks County Area Agency on Aging Advisory Council for a 2-year term expiring on December 31st of 2025. There are 2 items listed under the Commissioners. Item A, adopt a resolution authorizing a letter of support for the B'nai B'rith Reading LLC application to the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Authority for low-income housing tax credits for redevelopment of the B'nai B'rith House of Reading located at 1026 Franklin Street, Reading, PA, supporting 170 independent senior households. Item B, adopt a resolution authorizing the Chief Operations Officer, or in the absence thereof, the Deputy Chief Operations Officer, to execute hold harmless agreements with users of county-owned property and facilities subject to final review and approval by the county solicitor. Item 2, a motion to authorize execution of the contract agreements and amendments as set forth on the contract agenda listing dated February the 12th of 2024. There are a total of 20 contracts. There's one with Archives, 2 with the Area Agency on Aging, 1 with Career Link, 6 with Children and Youth Services, 1 jointly with Children and Youth Services and Juvenile Probation, 1 with the Commissioners, 5 with Facilities and Operations, 1 with Information Systems, 1 with the Berks County Jail, and 1 with the MDJs. Item 3, a motion to authorize execution of the payments and electronic transfers for the week ending February the 15th of 2024.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, the motion is approved and the agenda is approved. We will move forward with reports of our treasurer and controller. We'll start with our county treasurer, Mitch Darkworth.
Thank you, Commissioner. Today we have an opening balance of $192,793,268.29. We have a balance to clear of $4,690,126.80, leaving us with a balance of $188,103,105.49.
Thank you very much, Mitch. We move to the county controller. As noted last week, Joe Rutterow is at a controller's conference, and in his absence, we have Andrew Knoll from the controller's office to provide the report. Andrew?
Good morning.
Good morning.
For the week ended February 15th, we have total accounts payable of $9,883,499.49. We have an employee payroll of $5,188,375.16, a tax collector payroll of $16,449.63, for a combined payroll of $5,204,824.79, giving us total cash disbursements of $15,088,324.28.
Thank you very much, Andrew. We have no report from our Chief Operations Officer, so we will move right to Commissioner's reports, and we'll begin with Commissioner Michael Rivera.
Thank you, Commissioner Leinbach. I want to discuss a few things this past week, Friday through Tuesday. Commissioner Leinbach and I had the opportunity to attend the National Association of Counties Legislative Conference in Washington, D.C. There's different workshops going on, meetings, and so forth. I'm part of the Community Economic and Workforce Development Committee for the National Association of Counties. And we had our meeting. It was Saturday, most of the day from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Some of the speakers we had, one was Claudia Monterosa, who's the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Grants Programs, Office of Community Planning and Development of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, as well as Joaquin Altoro, the Administrator for Rural Housing Services from the USDA. And one of the topics, again, that has came up this time and has come up in past conferences is housing as a nationwide issue, affordable housing. And at this time, they were focusing as well on housing in the rural areas and how difficult it is for that. We also had a panel that was talking about place-based policymaking. And basically what that is, it's an initiative of the federal government that instead of focusing on smaller, targeted redistributive policies, they want to establish new laws that establish policies that are intended to meet the broader national goals through deliberate and direct investments into specific U.S. places and regions. So basically, what regions or what places should we be facing or focusing on rather than just putting money out there for wherever it may end up at. We also had I also attended a workshop on international economic development. That was really interesting as well. They're looking at I want to look at different options for Berks County, since we have so many manufacturers here in Berks that could benefit from international partners, as well as looking at, is there an international partner, international manufacturers or businesses that may want to come and establish themselves here in Berks County. The other part I went to was the election summit. Very interesting speakers on the election summit. There was a senator there, and she was indicating that they are considering legislation that would provide federal funding for elections. It would also establish basic standards for all elections throughout the United States. It would ban fraudulent AI content for elections, specifically deep fake. They said this is an issue that they've seen now that has been growing. And it would also focus on protecting election workers, as in many parts of the United States, election workers have been targeted for not doing what one group or another wants them to do. Rather, they do their job the way it should be. There was also another federal representative there who spoke, and he spoke about the Americans' Confidence in Elections Act. He, on the other hand, wasn't too positive about federal funding on elections because he said, one, that the federal government does not have any money for that, and that it would come with standardization of elections, which he was not in favor of. But he spoke about keeping voter rolls clean and how that can be done now. There's more technologies available, how we should do that, and also the importance of removing private funding from elections. So very interesting, different points of view there, but it's very good information. Also learned that the election system falls under the Department of Homeland Security because it is designated as crucial infrastructure, along with roads, bridges, tunnels, data, and others that fall under critical infrastructure in the United States. On Monday, we had the opportunity to visit our two senators, Fetterman and Casey. We did not meet with them. They were not in Washington, but we met with their senior staff and brought to them 5 points that we wanted them to hear us on and that we felt were important. One is the mental health crisis. We spoke about that. One of the things we spoke about there is how Medicare is very difficult to find providers to provide mental health services under Medicare. That's because one of the rigorous red tape they have to go through to be able to do that, and also because the reimbursement of Medicare is not the same as Medicaid or other private insurances, and that's why many healthcare providers do not take Medicare, and that is a federal issue. We also spoke about mental health in jails and some bills that are out there that would help improve mental health in jails. I'm not going to get into those, but there were 3 that we focused on there. The other was broadband, the importance of continuing with broadband and making broadband available to everyone. We brought up Next Generation 911 and PILT, which is payment in lieu of taxes of federal land. 62% of counties in the United States have federal land on them. Here in Pennsylvania, we have federal land, mostly under the U.S. Forestry Service, and we have some of it here in Berks County. And we're asking that that program be reauthorized for the next year. And that's because although the counties do not receive any taxes for that, counties still have to maintain and provide services for those lands. We also ask for a long-term solution for sustainability for those lands. So it was a very interesting 5 days, learned a lot, had the opportunity to meet and speak with other commissioners from other parts of the United States as well. Also want to congratulate RAC, Reading Area Community College. They were named a 2024 Awards of Excellence finalist, the ACC, which is the American Association for Community Colleges. And the college was nominated for their work in early childhood education. They were one of 3 that were named as a finalist for the award. The winner will be announced on April the 8th. So best wishes to RAC and congratulations on the good work that they continue to do for residents here in Berks County. One final item is this coming Tuesday, February 20th at 6:30 p.m. The three of us will be holding a town hall at the Boyertown Community Library at 24th North Reading Avenue in Boyertown. The door opens at 6 p.m. The town hall starts at 6:30 p.m. As long as there's questions and conversation, we will be there till 8 p.m. In these town halls, we each present a 5 to 10 minute update of what's going on in Berks County and our priorities, and then we open it up to any questions that anyone may have at the town hall. So we don't restrict what questions are asked or who can ask them. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rivera. We'll move now to Commissioner Dante Santoni.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple quick items. One of them was also to remind people of Berks County of our town hall meeting on Tuesday up in Boyertown. So we welcome the Boyertown community and anybody else from Berks County that wants to come. As Commissioner Rivera said, we give a brief opening remark, and then we like to hear from the residents what their concerns are in their particular community. So I look forward to our second town hall meeting of 2024 on Tuesday night from 6:30 to 8. The other item that I wanted to talk about that I had the opportunity and privilege really this week, on Monday of this week, I got called for jury duty. And I know that when most people get that thing in the mail from Berks County to serve on a jury, they sort of cringe and say, oh my God, why do I have to go in? But I think it's obviously one of the bedrocks of our democracy, the trial system and the jury system. And I had the opportunity, my number was called and I wasn't picked for the case, but I sat through the process in President Judge Johnson's courtroom, who did a terrific job, and it was really I hadn't done that in a long time. So it's very important. It was a murder trial that I was in the jury pool for. So it was a real opportunity. So I highly recommend that when you get that notice in the mail to embrace it, because it is one of the bedrocks of our democracy. I have the opportunity to sit in the legislative branch. Just as a county commissioner, we're executives as well, but never the judicial side of our form of government. So it was a great opportunity for me. So I just wanted to mention that I was on jury duty on Monday. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Santoni. I want to touch on several things. I won't repeat the items from the NACO conference that Commissioner Rivera shared. I was able to talk to actually supervisor is the term used in Coconina County, Arizona. I met her years ago, Lena Fowler. Coconina County's park system, they have a very nice open air amphitheater. And I asked her how that was doing because they built that with a sponsorship from the Pepsi-Cola company. And it is still the Pepsi-Cola amphitheater. It's something that I've recommended our parks folks look at from building standpoint, amphitheater, et cetera, to bring private dollars into the public park system. So that was one of the, actually, I take notes for every meeting. I actually yesterday looked at notes from my 2008 conference. So that's what these are from. One of the things that was announced relative to services from NACO to counties is a brand new student debt relief for county employees. This is not federal money or tax money coming. What it is a program that has been set up with NACO and a group called SAVI, S-A-V-I, to help employees identify all the sources and make the best decisions in order to save them money on their student debt. The first county earlier this year, actually the end of last year, that launched this was Hennepin County, Minnesota. They have several thousand employees, 600 employees signed up, and that provided debt relief of over $12 million on average for the lifetime, and it lowers their the rate that they're paying for their student debt. the average per employee is $156 per month and $28,000 over the lifetime of the loan. That is a really big deal, something that we're going to be looking at as well. I was in several workshops dealing with artificial intelligence. There's a lot of discussion around that. Artificial intelligence is not new. What is new is something called generative AI. That's what ChatGPT is. Bard is the name of the product from Google. ChatGPT came out early last year. And one of the things that I learned, every other level of technology, probably up until now, the fastest adopted technology was Facebook, social media. It took about 3 years to reach a critical mass. ChatGPT reached critical mass in 60 days from the time it was introduced. And it is now, if you start digging, it is behind a lot of AI tools that are out there. And it's got positives and negatives. I won't go into all the details, but there are data privacy issues, there are legal issues. There's what we call AI bias. You have to be aware of it. There are accuracy challenges because this is data that's being pulled from all kinds of sources. And if it's pulling bad data, you have to be aware of that. There are potential ethics issues, but there are also some amazing tools. Actually, in one of the sessions, I went in and wrote in literally seconds, a 2 or 3 sentence paragraph about a job description, because one of the things I found out it's very effective in helping to do is develop job descriptions for organizations, companies. And so I did one for a position here in the county, and in 5 seconds, I had a job description. Now it's 70% complete, but absolutely incredible. Our HR director's here. I forwarded it to her. It's pretty amazing. The one presenter shared that they used this in an HR department for a project that normally would have involved hiring an outside consultant, probably several thousand hours of work that would have to be done to pull all the information together and create a report. They did that internally with 10 hours. And by 10 hours, the 10 hours were largely needed to take the data, cross-reference, make sure that there were no issues, bias, et cetera. So there is a real opportunity to provide efficiency and savings, but there has to be an understanding that ethics and policy need to override it overall. One other thing and there was a lot of things I learned about, that you want to be very careful. If you use ChatGPT, and I have it on my phone, I have it on my computer at home, computer at work. If you're using 3.5, that is an open system. And that means anything you put in there is available to the world. So if you put in private information, you are putting your information at risk. ChatGPT is Microsoft, Bard is Google. There was discussions on which one is better, which one has more risks. I'm not going to get into that, but you need to be aware that when you look at ChatGPT, if you do the paid version, which is 4.0, there is the ability to create a closed environment. So in other words, you're using chat only in your organization. You pull information from the outside, but documents, and they talked about contracts, benefits analysis and things, only reside within the closed system. So that's probably one of the biggest things I would put out there. Be careful what you put on your chat GPT if you're not in a closed environment. And most people are not the individuals are not using the closed environment. One other thing I'll share on that, and this was news to me, I was familiar with the name of the book, but when they talked about AI, they said you don't want to use the Facebook motto. Does anybody know what the Facebook motto was when they came out? They dropped it in 2014. Move fast and break things. There's a book actually that came out talking about the damage social media has created in the world. And that they said to us, that is not what you want to do with AI. And as you look at it in your county, you're not going to be able to stop it, but you need to crawl, walk, and then run, and you need to overlay everything you're doing with ethics. That's all I'm going to share on the NACO Legislative Conference. I won't go over the town hall other than say that I will be there. Just want to touch on one last thing. This coming Monday is President's Day, and I'm old enough when we didn't really have President's Day. We had Lincoln's birthday on February the 12th. We had Washington's birthday on February the 22nd. Both of them, in my opinion, are the top two presidents in the history of our nation. Some tidbits on Lincoln. People that know me know I love Lincoln. Do you know that he may be the only president that at the same time worked for county government, state government, and the federal government at the exact same time? And this would have been back in I believe in the 1830s or early 40s. He was a part-time county land surveyor in Sagamore County, Illinois. He was a legislator, which then at that time they were part-time in the Illinois legislature, and he was the United States Post Office postmaster, all at the same time. So you look at that and say that's pretty amazing. One last item, and history is so important. We all know that he was the first Republican president, and that the Republican Party started in the 1850s. And from time to time, there's debates on, what was the cause of the Civil War. Let me share this information. There was the Free Soil Party. It was a short-lived coalition political party in the U.S. from 1848 to 1854 when it merged into the Republican Party. The party was largely focused on the single issue of opposing the expansion of slavery into the Western territories of the United States. Believe me, they supported the Republican Party because the Republican Party was established to limit the expansion of slavery. If you hear somebody stand up and say the Civil War was about states' rights, it wasn't about states' rights. It was about whether or not slavery would be allowed to expand. Horace Greeley, when the Republican Party was established, is credited with coming up with the name. The Republican Party name was christened in an editorial written by New York newspaper magnate Horace Greeley. Greeley printed in June 1854, quote, "We should not care much whether those thus united against slavery were designated Whig, Free Democrat, or something else. Though we think some simple name like Republican would more fitly designate those who had united to restore the Union to its true mission of champion and promulgator of liberty rather than the propagandist of slavery." Just history matters. When you think of Abraham Lincoln and George Washington on Monday, think about the history behind them, and in particular, the history here with Abraham Lincoln. That's all that I have. With that, are there any comments from our row officers?
I do not have any at this time.
Okay. And I don't see any online. With that, we will go to public comment. And we do have one person signed up, Mary Ann, and I think it's Cialoni. I tried. City of Reading. If you step up to the microphone, Lynn will make sure that's on, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. February 12th, Abraham Lincoln's birthday. There is a cosmic reason that is my birthday. Just saying.
Oh,
awesome.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I'm going to go as quickly as I can. I may have to come back again, but recently there was an article in the newspaper about settlement struck in rent-to-own scam case. This is not the only scam involving real estate going on in the city and the county. I find myself swept up in one, and I will have a future report on that. But back in 2018, there was a big problem in Pennsylvania regarding false service animals and emotional support animal claims. And in response to this problem, the state legislature passed a law that 2018 Act 118, and I have a copy of this information for you right there, providing for requirements for documentation of the need for an assistance animal or service animal in housing and for the offenses of misrepresentation of entitlement to assistance animal or service animal and misrepresentation of animal as an assistance animal or a service animal. This provides for fines for people that break the law. There it is, a copy of it there for you. Recently in the city, and I'm going to have more comment on this in the future, the city in December 14th, 2013, equity plan introduced at City Council. There's some very interesting information in here, and I have it circled in there, and I would appreciate it if you would read that and be aware, because there are 2 county-funded agencies, not in the city, but they are funded by the county and located out of the county that are participating in this scam. And the reason it's happening is because there are no protocols in place. There's no conversation, and I don't think anybody knows about it. But move fast and break things. That's exactly what's behind this thing right here. But very quickly, I want to tell you, I'm going to come back to you with more information on that. Very quickly, history repeating itself. Back in the 1990s, is it okay if I mention in a good way a federal judge's name? Sure. Who is now deceased?
Sure.
Okay. Back in the 1990s, during a real estate transaction, somebody claimed that I violated their civil rights, and things rapidly spun out of control. I mean, faster than you can spin around there were no facts in the complaint against my husband and myself. This matter was filed in federal court at the Edward Kahn Federal Building in Allentown and found its way onto the desk of Federal Judge Arnold Rappaport. All parties were called to his office, and the attorney that represented us was there. He's still around and alive. He was there with us as well. And Judge Rappaport had a management technique in place, which I have to give him a lot of credit for. He had all of the parties in separate...
Wrap up. Why don't you touch base with us afterwards instead of waiting till the next meeting so we can get some more information?
I would love to give you more information because it's very important.
Okay.
How do I do that?
As soon as we're just about done here, we'll touch base with you and have someone get as much of the information as you have. We have no other, anyone check online? Nothing online?
Before we adjourn, just want to remind everyone that we have a Board of Elections meetings now coming up at 11 o'clock. Talking about Lincoln, I was listening to a book yesterday, and it was talking about all of his failures before he became president. I mean, some of him was he lost job, he was defeated for state legislator, failed in business, his sweetheart died, he had a nervous breakdown, he was defeated for Speaker of the Illinois House, he was defeated for nomination for Congress, he was rejected for land officer, defeated for U.S. Senate, defeated for nomination for vice president, again defeated for U.S. Senate, and then was elected as president. So No matter how bad you think things are going for you, never give up. Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Meeting stands adjourned.